In today's episode, we will learn how to peacefully glide and propel ourselves through the water. Make sure you stay all the way to the end as we will teach you simple breathing techniques so you can swim as far as you want to. And don't forget, if you missed episode 1 and 2 in our Learn to Swim with Me series, you can find both of those episodes linked right up here. This is episode number 3. I am Coach Jeff, and we are going to teach you how to swim. Let's begin. Step number 1 in today's video is learning how to peacefully glide. And there are 2 key elements to creating and sustaining a peaceful glide. Number 1 is ensuring that we maintain a state of relaxation through the entire movement. And number 2 is just filling our lungs up completely with air. Remember, more air in our lungs means more buoyancy in the water. Now, to begin the movement, I recommend to all of our new swimmers to push off from the bottom of the pool in a track start style, which means that we have our dominant foot forward and our non-dominant foot backwards. This helps create an easy launching off point from the bottom of the pool. I don't want to say it like that. Take one step forward with your dominant foot and leave our non-dominant foot backwards. This looks like a track start in our push-off. And this is really the easiest way to start creating our forward movement in the water. From there, I want you to put both arms out in front of you, just about shoulder width apart, maybe a little bit more, but arms don't have to be way over here, and we don't want them yet to be in a streamlined position. All right, from there, all we're gonna do is take a full diaphragmatic breath, fill up our lungs, and slowly go into the movement, which looks like this. You want to sustain your front glide as long as you're comfortable and maintaining momentum. Once you start to feel yourself slow down, all I want you to do is bring your legs underneath your body, push them down towards the bottom of the pool, and stand right up to reset to begin again on repetition number 2. The 2 most common mistakes that new swimmers make when going into the front gliding movement are, number 1, having our head position looking too far forward. Anytime our chin is up and our spine is not in alignment, or easier said, our eyes aren't looking down at the bottom of the pool, our legs are going to start to sink in the water. This is called swimming uphill because our head is higher than our legs, which means that we're pushing a lot of water and it slows us down. So to correct that, all we want to do is have our spine completely in alignment and our eyes looking straight down at the bottom of the pool. I'm going to show you 2 examples. The first is an example of what not to do, and the second is an example of what to do. Here's the example of what not to do. Now, if you have the urge to want to lift your head, I completely understand, and it's super common. Of course, right? You want to see where you're going in the water. But as I mentioned earlier, this comes at a huge cost. So I promise, the more that you practice having your eyes looking down at the pool, the more comfortable you will get with the movement and the more trust you will have on where you are in the water. And so we'll begin that process now. And here's what it looks like to have our spine completely in alignment and our eyes looking down at the bottom of the pool. Mistake number 2 is not filling our lungs fully with air. Let me show you the difference between number 1, which is not taking a deep breath, and number 2, which is taking a full diaphragmatic breath, and the insane difference that this makes on our buoyancy in the water. Check this out. Here is a standard breath. Did you notice how quickly my body started sinking in the water? It's crazy. Now check out the difference when I fill my lungs up fully with a diaphragmatic breath and how much more buoyant I am in the water. Check this out. Now, for any of you that have been told by a past swim instructor that you are a born sinker and that you just can't float on top of the water, maybe you just haven't learned how to take a proper deep breath yet. And I hope that example shows you the importance of filling our lungs up completely with air. So now that we've covered how to properly get a front glide, we're going to start actually moving our arms in the water to create forward propulsion. Now, the beginning of forward propulsion is a very simple movement, and I don't want us to overcomplicate it. All we're going to do is have our arms out straight, about shoulder width apart. We're going to turn our palms to face outward, and then we're going to slowly pull our arms through the water all the way down to our side. The movement looks like this. One of the keys to our students' success is being able to practice this movement out of the water before they practice it in the water. Because if we can find our coordination out of the water, I promise it makes it a lot easier once we actually jump into the water and start doing the movement. So all we want to do is bring our arms up above our head. Remember, we're turning our palms facing outward, and then we're just going to slowly move our arms all the way down in one straight movement down to the side. We're going to pause here at the bottom for 2 to 5 seconds, and then cross our arms slowly and tight towards our body all the way up to the top before we begin again, and do that all the way with our straight arm pull down to the side. Pause 2 to 5 seconds. Slowly cross our arms, bring them all the way up to the top, and repeat that movement again. Feel free to practice this as many times as you want in order to get the coordination, the timing, and the technique down, and then invite you to try that exact movement in the water. So now that we know how to pull our arms down to the side, let's talk about steps 2 or 3, which is how long we want to have our arms paused at the side, and then what we do to recover our arms back up to the top so that we can begin our next pull. So step 2, how long do we want to have our arms paused at the side? And the answer to that is however long you can sustain being relaxed and still having forward movement in the water. Most of my students can relax and have our arms at our side for around 2 to 5 seconds. And that's what I would like you to try as you're doing this for the first time. Step 3, our recovery back up to the top. What we want to do is bring our arms almost in an X-type movement as close to our body as possible as we recover back up to the top. The reason we want to have our arms close to our body as we're recovering is it reduces the amount of drag or resistance that our arms are creating as we're moving them back up to the top of the movement so we can begin our second pull down. And this is really important because more drag in the water means we're slowing down the momentum we just created. So we want to avoid that as much as possible. So let's look at steps 1, 2, and 3 all put together, which is our pull down to our side, a delay of 2 to 5 seconds with our arms at our side, and then a tight recovery all the way back up to the top. The full movement looks like this. Now, one of the more common questions that I'm asked by my new students is, do we want to kick when we're doing this movement? And the best answer is, if your body feels like wanting to kick, it's okay to gently kick. But it's still at this point that I don't recommend intentionally kicking yet, because we're really working on relaxing as much as possible and using as little effort as possible. There will be a time and a place later in the series where we introduce flutter kicking, but now is not that time unless the body naturally wants to do it at this point in the movement. The biggest mistake that I see my new students making is rushing the movement. Remember that our entire goal of this process is to make effortless movement in the water. And we do that by peacefully moving our arms down to the side, sustaining our glide, and then peacefully moving our arms back up to the top before we begin again. This is not a rushed movement. Our goal is not to forcefully get from point A to point B, but to use the beautiful properties of water that help hold us up and to relax through that entire movement. But nonetheless, let me show you what a rushed movement looks like, and then we can compare that again to what a peaceful movement looks like. Here's the rush movement. Notice that when I forced the movement and exerted a lot of energy and effort, I was able to get from point A to point B. But even me, a seasoned professional swimmer, I'm out of breath when I did that. And that is not the intention of what we're trying to accomplish here. So let me show you the opposite of that, which is how we peacefully move through the water. And then also notice how many fewer strokes that I take in order to accomplish that same distance from point A to point B. It's like half the number of strokes. And less strokes means less energy and less effort. Let me show you what that looks like. So up to this point in our Learn to Swim with Me series, we've learned how to relax, how to enter the water peacefully, how to take a deep breath and hold our breath for 20 seconds. We've learned how to peacefully front float, peacefully glide, and effortlessly move through the water. Now, in next week's episode, we are going to take the next step in our Learn to Swim progression, which is learning how to get a fresh breath so that we can move as far in the water as we want to. Right now, up to this point, we're really limited on the distance we can cover in the water based on how long we can hold our breath. Let me show you what you can look forward to in next week's episode by learning how to simply lift our head up and get a fresh breath in the water. Here's what we have to look forward to in that episode. Congratulations on making it this far in your Learn to Swim journey. If you want additional support and access to me and Coach Meredith, and to learn alongside other adults who are learning how to swim just like you, click on the link in the description below and you can join the Caribe Swim Adult Learn to Swim community. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel. And if you know anyone else looking to learn how to swim, make sure to share this video with them. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see you next week where we will learn how to breathe. I'll see you guys there.